Okay, we are streaming live on YouTube, and we have also been privileged to have a bunch of people from our group come over here. So this is a South Africa-friendly group. I am an American citizen who has since given up citizenship after getting New Zealand citizenship. So I am a one passport holder person at the moment. And it's an honor for me to be here serving South Africans because we both came here for the same reasons, to live a better life for our families, for a future, a quality of life that we're chasing. Now, I'm not saying everyone fits in that category. I know there's some people that come here and they want a career, and that's perfectly fine. Careers do exist here, although they are more existing in the Northern Hemisphere, or at least Australia, in big cities. And most of us who came here, I find, have this desire to get out of the big city, get out of the stress. And what it's all about for me is that quality of life. I remember, I'll never forget that first experience coming into the first weekend of my first New Zealand job. And the boss told me, it's Friday, get out of here, it's 3 o'clock. And I said, well, there's still some stuff to do. And I know some of you've heard that before, maybe more than once. But I like the story, and it's how things go here. Get out of here, it's 3 o'clock, go be with your family. I've got work to do. It'll wait till Monday. See ya, bye-bye, done. Okay, so that was a nice welcome. I mean, he understood I was trying my best. I was being diligent. I was, coming early and all that sort of stuff. But it's done a little bit differently here. It's not to say people are lazy. They're not. It's just, there's this bigger picture of things. I kind of like that. It's instilled in the culture as well. And so not everyone functions that way. Not every business functions that way. Not every boss functions that way, but it is part of the culture. So today we have a couple of really cool guests. One of the guests is from our group, and that guest is Yvonne. And Yvonne has an interesting story because you guys have asked for it. You have asked. I put out a poll. I asked a question. What do you want to see? There was comments. We looked at it. And you guys have asked to have some practical advice about, coming here, doing practical things. I remember there was the bank account and the schooling and, the logistics and the practical things, renting homes and that sort of thing. So there were all these practical questions that were coming out, and I completely missed that. I'm the bottom line person. I'm the, critical path person trying to line things up for residency, and I was missing it. So apologies. Well, probably I'm just a guy, I focus on I can only focus on one thing. And if I'm going to choose one, it's residency, right? And everything you need to do to get there. That's it. So I'll bring Yvonne on, and we'll actually diversify our thought process a bit. We'll calm down. We'll see what else is out there in the process of integrating in as a South African, as anyone coming in, but specifically as a South African. Now, Yvonne, I believe she's just, I think she's right here waiting. I'll just do a quick introduction, Yvonne. So Yvonne has been here since June 2018. So 1 year. It's a good 1 year review. Not too fresh, not too recent, but also not too late. So the memories are still fresh. I remember how it was for me after the first year. I still had very fresh memories of coming here. Well, I still do in some areas, but I mean, the whole thing was fresher 1 year in. And she's had some interesting experiences here. I'll just introduce the fact that she's from Cape Town. She lives in Taupo. She came in on her partnership visa, which was a 5-year essential skills visa. And she lives with her husband and 4 lovely children. One of the children were born in New Zealand. So how's that for practical? I mean, we're going to learn some practical things here about the care and that sort of stuff. I'm sure some of you will have questions about that. If you could put, please, your questions into the chat room. I'm just going to have a chat with Yvonne on the audio. So you get to watch my ugly face all this time, but you get to hear a pretty voice of Yvonne singing out her experiences.
Yeah,
Hello,
so we immigrated over from South Africa, Cape Town, As Tate said, in June 2018. Our whole process probably took us about 2 years. My husband came over twice to job hunt and just to get a real feel for the country. And when he came back, he was lucky enough to get an offer from a company, and everything moved really quickly then. We sold our house, got our visas approved, and all in all, within 4 months, we landed in New Zealand, and I was 28 weeks pregnant. So that was quite scary. Of course, not knowing what the medical care is like here, not knowing what the hospitals are like. So I had my baby, came early. That was, of course, quite scary, not knowing anybody here in New Zealand. We didn't have friends or family yet. Our container had not even arrived. So we were actually renting they call it a batch house here. So it's like a little Airbnb type of home, fully furnished. And I didn't pay a cent for my care through the rest of my pregnancy, nor for the birth, and nor for the aftercare. It was really something that it's just amazing how they look after you here. I mean, you've got to go for injections during your pregnancy. They see you every 2 to 3 weeks when you're already that far along. So when you find out that you're pregnant or you come here pregnant, and I get asked this question a lot by South Africans on the group, how do you go and get the care that you need? Do you go to a GP? Do they use gynecologists here? And the answer to that is no, they actually don't. Everything's handled by your midwife. So you arrive here, whether you find out you're pregnant or you already are, you immediately contact the midwife and they do everything for you. They schedule your blood tests, and you pay for nothing. They organize your scans. They give you the dates when everything's got to be done, and they're with you from beginning to end through the birth. I had an emergency C-section, and I was supposed to be airlifted to hospital, which was all going to be at no cost. And the weather was too bad. So we went in an ambulance, and I'd never paid a single cent. It's just, to me, still amazing. And afterwards, they come out to your house every week to care for you and your newborn baby with no charge either. So that was really...
Yeah, that's an incredible story. Not a cent. And that care with the midwife, it sounds to me like it's structured that you're not supposed to have stress about anything during this time. It's like that's the gearing for this. The system's made for that. Would you say that's a fair comment?
Very much so. And they introduce you to all types of support systems that you would need. And I mean, of course, I'm not the only person here who's, recently had a baby, and you don't know anybody. You don't even know what you have to figure out different nappy brands, different formula brands. It's quite overwhelming. And they help you with that process the whole way. It's just, and they drive out to you wherever you are. All
airlifted at no cost. Was offered ambulance, it turned out, because of the weather, all the care, the delivery, the emergency part of it, and then the scheduling and so on. It's like running your own personal doctor's office with advisors around you and doctor around you as well. I mean, it's definitely like geared for you.
But in saying all of that, that is only offered to you if you are on a 24-month visa and more. I know people who have, for those who don't know, I own Tetra wheels, so I do car hire and finance and purchasing for South Africans arriving here. And I get asked so many questions, especially because people, we build a relationship, I walk the process with them, and I get asked all kinds of questions about all different things. And one of the people that just recently bought from me found out for some reason she's only got a 22-month visa, and she's not entitled to the medical care here. That's something I emphasize to people over and over. Just, of course, I mean, the care is amazing here. I mean, for me to go to a GP, I pay $17 only, which is really not bad. My children go for free.
Right. Dentist is free for children as well?
Yeah, it's really nice. And I mean, my children have their dentist checkups at the school. They have a dental van that comes to the school, and they go during school time, and anything that they need is completely covered. Okay.
Yvonne, you probably, since you've had these sorts of discussions with other South Africans who've come at you from different points of view, you've probably been schooled up on what the comparisons would be in South Africa. So could you help, for those of us who don't know, what would it be like there? Now, I don't know what the US would be like, but I promise you, it's not like this. No place is like this that I know of.
Is that for the medical care?
Just for, well, yeah, both. Having a baby and just general medical care. It's
it was my third baby that I had here, so I'd already had 2 babies in South Africa, and look, the care was great there. Of course, in South Africa, by being on a good medical aid, I had access to good hospital. I had a relationship with my doctors, and I mean, by having my third baby, I mean, I was already cared for in South Africa up until 28 weeks. But all that came at a cost. Every time we went to the doctor, went to the gynecologist, it all had a pay. And even when I scheduled my birth, I mean, when I fell pregnant, the plan wasn't to come to New Zealand yet. We didn't know everything would fall into place. So I they told me the amount up hand that had to be paid before I even, went into hospital. So the care there is good. Being on a medical aid here, it was also really good. I must say I have no complaints about the hospital care here at all. They're really hands-on. And I must say the only probably difference is South Africa, especially in the hospitals there, they would help you with your baby. So you could sleep. I've spoken to a lot of moms here in New Zealand. They don't do that here. But you know what? You're not paying anything. You're being really looked after, and you know that you and your baby are in good hands. And I think that's all that really matters at the end of the day. And it's not costing you an arm and a leg.
Right. Okay, so good care on that side. How about some of the other practical things that people have asked about from the list that I had, or other things that you may just already know are of interest as well? I mean, you had the schooling, for example. That's a big one, isn't it?
Yeah.
How do you pick the right? Yeah.
So I've got 3 children in school. 4-year-old who's in what the South Africa would be play school. They call it kindy here. And then I've got a 5-year-old and a 9-year-old, and the 3 of them are in school. Yeah, of course, I think, which is normal. South Africa is pretty much the same. The schools are very zoned. I actually think it's fair to say here is even more zoned. So you literally have to be within their little kilometer radius, and if you fall out of it, you're not getting in there. So my 2 5 and 9-year-old, they go to the same primary school, which is literally just up the road from us. And we don't pay anything. Schooling is free. They have a voluntary donation. And of course, there are families who cannot make that donation. But it varies. Obviously, I stay out in Taupo, which is 4 hours outside of Auckland. So in Auckland, that donation is about between $250 and $400 a year, which is nothing compared to what you'd be paying in South Africa. I mean, the average primary school fee is about 2,000 Rand a month. Where here your donation is really, if you split it over the months, you're paying next to nothing. And if you've got more than one child, you get a reduced rate as well. And look, the classes I find to be quite small. Of course, that's down here where I am. In Auckland, I've spoken to a few schools there and a few people, and they've got about between 20 and 30 children in a class, which is, I mean, I think that's not very big. And look, school uniform is expensive here. That's something that you've got to pay in full for. So for an example, to buy a school pants is about $60. A shirt is around $50. A blazer is about $100. And then their jerseys range. You actually get quite a few different types, obviously, and that's between $50 and $80. They give you a school stationery list that you have to buy beforehand, and that's lasts the whole year, and that's about $150. And that's what I'm paying, and that's what I've spoken to a few other moms who are in Auckland and Wellington, and that's what they're paying as well. And
from that whole list of things you've given, Yvonne, it seems to me, from my experience, I guess the quality of uniform hasn't been, it seems like they're making a bit of money on that side.
Yeah, definitely. I think it is very expensive, especially for people who are coming over. It's something that I say to everybody, please budget for school uniform, because if you have 2 or 3 children, which is often the case, that adds up quite quickly. If you're converting it into rands, let's say per child, we're looking at about $300. It's 3,000 rand per child just to put them in school uniform.
Mm.
But the schools are great. Really, they have zero tolerance to bullying. I mean, bullying is a reality all over the world. My son was bullied in South Africa. They dealt with it well. In all honesty, he was bullied here in New Zealand as well. I've read on lots of groups that it's a common occurrence. But what makes the difference is how the school and the teacher and the principal handled the situation. And they really here have no tolerance to it. So I found lots of comfort in that. They dealt with the situation and it got sorted out. And they really take pride in their schools. They look after it. Everything works. It's really nice to see. And they help the children settle in. So it's all around very good.
You were here twice, Yvonne, with your husband, both times?
No, he came on his own.
Okay. And did you come for the first time to New Zealand on the second trip?
No, the third trip. The whole family came over. So I'd never been here. I'd never even been on a plane before.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, this is a really good question then. I was coming to this question. I wanted to know how to ask it. What were your impressions landing? Do you remember what it was first like? And what are some of the first initial things you started? I'm looking for culture shock. What was the aspect of the culture that you were like, wow, this is a different world, or things are really different here, or this is pleasant, or this is unpleasant, or anything like that?
Everything was really overwhelming, especially because it was my first time flying, and the children were tired. We were all tired. So we really just, I think what everybody does, you get to your hotel and you overnight there, and your first real experience, I suppose, is when you have to get takeouts that night. Then it really hits you how much you're going to be spending, and your first real interaction with people besides at the airport. But that really, it all goes so quick. It's actually quite a blur. And the accent to me was huge. They've got quite a lot of their own lingo here. So yeah, as I said, it was actually, if I think about it, it was all really quite a blur. But I remember the first week of thinking, oh my gosh, everything seems so expensive because you're converting everything to rand still. And from other people that I've spoken to as well, that if you look at like the food prices and that sort of stuff, it definitely is a shock. And I think the culture shock probably took about, in our experience, about 3 months to really, we can say, wow, the culture is definitely different. I mean, they don't braai, they barbecue. They call a bakkie a ute, and there's so much stuff to get used to. And they're just, of course, things are just different. I mean, we're halfway across the world, but that first stage is honeymoon stage. You're on a mission. You got to get a rental house. You got to get your kids in school, car, start work. So it goes really quick. And then when you start to settle, then the reality sets in, I think.
What was it like to find the house? Many people stumble on that. There's no one way to do it. What was your way, and what are you happy about, and what would you do differently?
I think one of the hardest things is the way they do their house viewing. So if you find a house that you like, you apply on their online portal, and they don't pre-select people off that. So when you go to a viewing, it's easy, 20 to 40 people or couples there, which makes it difficult. South Africa, I know that was quite different. If you could, get on the good side of the agent or somebody that could, do a quick little short list. And so it's quite hectic, especially when you're new here. They want references. So it's the same thing I tell everybody: get good reference letters from South Africa and bring it over with you. They ask for the contact details of those people as well. The other problem is if you're a homeowner in South Africa, what sort of reference do you actually give here? So we were homeowners, and that was we probably looked at we were quite lucky. We probably looked at about 7-8 houses, and then we eventually through Harcourts, and they were quite understanding that we were really desperate to have a house. And the other thing is people have to budget for when they come over is to pay that initial amount up front for a property rental. So they take here to rent a house 4 weeks up front, which they call a 4 weeks bond, which is reimbursed at the end of your contract. And then they take 1 week's rent. So you need to have about 5 weeks up front. So if you're looking at the average 3-bedroom house in Auckland, that's around $600 a week. So you times that by 5, it's, quite a month. It adds up that you need to have saved up before you can even move in.
Right. Housing is an issue in New Zealand. The prices are up, the rentals are up. It's hard to find. You get a lot of viewers looking at the same house, and there's no favoritism from what you said. You can't get just put on the short list because of the policies are quite uniform or applied in a general way. Would that be fair?
Definitely. And also by not knowing anybody, you think, oh my gosh, are we actually going to stand a chance? Especially when there are Kiwis there as well, who have obviously been here and have a reference. So all you can just do is keep looking and looking. And the houses, at least here, I must say, most of them come with curtains, a dishwasher, and a stove. So, I brought over curtains and curtains and curtains, which I just haven't used because the curtains here are in such good, amazing condition and they're blackout. I haven't even had to put mine up.
All right. So anything else that you find other people wanting to know that maybe not everyone here has figured out yet?
Yeah, I get asked a lot, which is strange, and I see it on the other Facebook groups. I'm obviously quite active on the other groups as well, especially because of doing the car hire and finance. So one of the questions I get asked really often is, do you know if your children can get Concerta or Ritalin in New Zealand? And that's quite a bit of a tricky process. I was able to bring over 3 months prescription for my son. And then when we got here, you don't really know here that you can't just go to a pediatrician. Everything here goes through the GP first. So you need to make an appointment with the GP, have him look through your specialist reports from South Africa and all that, and then he will refer you through to a pediatrician. So there's that waiting time. We waited 6 months before my son was actually seen by a pediatrician, but thankfully the GP was happy with the supporting documents I brought over and continued giving him his script while we were waiting for that appointment. And it's quite a big thing in a person's life, especially for a child who is already struggling through school, who needs to be on that type of medication. And then when you come here, you hit a sort of dead end. You're like, oh my gosh, what do we do now? So that is really the best route to follow. Bring as much supporting documentation from the specialists in South Africa. And the pharmacy can give 3 months up front to bring over. That's what we did, which worked out fine. It was enough time before we figured out how the process works.
I'm hearing that again, the supporting information, the references for the medicine, for the house rentals. You didn't have any supporting information for your rental situation because you had been a house owner, but you got through by just being genuine and having these conversations?
Definitely, and being honest about how desperate we really were. And look, I must say, from all the agents that we spoke to, they said, look, they know South Africans are really good renters and they look after the place, which was really nice to hear. Down here where I stay in Topol, we probably know about 8 or 10 other South African families. For the small town, that's just what I know of. And they all moved here recently, and they went through the same thing to look for a house. They were just genuine, honest, and patient is really all you can be. Has anyone in your family been back to South Africa since you came over? No, we haven't. My mom-in-law is actually visiting here. She got a 6-month visitor's visa, so it's nice to have her here with a bit of help and support.
All right. And the first impressions of your mother-in-law?
First impressions?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, she was amazed. She can't believe how clean the place is. Everything works, looked after. and green and beautiful. Obviously, she comes from Cape Town, where they were going through the hectic water situation. So she's just amazed by the beauty of New Zealand. And down where we stay in Taupo is obviously the beautiful lake here, which is just amazing to see every day.
Yeah, it is. I've heard people mention, and you can let me know if this is your experience or not. There comes a time, some people told me, after you're here for a period of time, you realize that there's this tension lifted. Like you don't have to worry about things. You don't have to look over your shoulder. And it comes at an odd moment. It can be just on the beach, but you're at the beach a few times. But then one particular time, that feeling just comes like, hey, wait a minute. I'm not stressed. I'm not worried about someone, doing something against me. And I'm wondering if you've had this sort of a feeling or if you've heard it from others.
Yes, 100%. Small things like, our house back in South Africa used to be like Alcatraz. So we had beams up, electric fencing, high walls, and burglar bars, like double burglar bars and everything. Here, there isn't that. We don't even have a wall around our house, no burglar bars. And one of the big things when I realized, actually, to be honest, when my mom-in-law got here, she couldn't believe like how nonchalant we are. We can leave the doors open when it's dark. The windows are open. There's obviously no security. I don't even lock the car. Look, apparently I should be locking the car. There is petty crime everywhere. But it's just, I just became so relaxed. And it's so nice. We can go for a walk along the lake. Often we go up to Auckland. And yes, Auckland is, of course, busy and lots of people, but you don't have that fear that, oh my gosh, your bag's going to be stolen, or you have to keep your children right next to you because they might even be stolen.
Are you glad you made this trip?
Yes, I am. It's been I say to everybody, I'd be lying if I said it was easy. After your honeymoon stage, when you're all settled in, the reality sets in where you start to miss your friends, your family, everything that you knew. You could just go down the road to go get whatever you needed because you knew where it was. You knew what make, what brand. Here, I spoke to someone the other day and they said, it sounds so silly, but to go to the shop in the beginning is quite stressful. You stand and you got to choose a new make of butter, of bread, milk, all the simple things that, was second nature to you back home. So yes, I am glad. My children play freely outside. I don't have to call them every 5 minutes to see that they're still there, that nobody's come in. The children walk to school. Okay, mine don't because we stay a bit far, but lots of children around us do. It's so nice to see that they have this inner peace and that they are safe.
They can be children.
Exactly. I'm down at the lake as well. My daughter, she walked like a bit close to the lake, and oh my gosh, a whole lot of people came to help her. Everybody's always watching other people's children. Everyone keeps an eye on each other. And it's just, children can just play. That's all they have to worry about.
All right. So if we make the list of things that are uncomfortable to adapt to, and the list of things that are comfortable to adapt to, security's on the comfortable side, obviously. The uncomfortable, obviously, I think there's a cost and a familiarity thing, and there's the terminology and the accents, and all that's pretty minor so far. Is there anything a bit heavier than that on the uncomfortable side?
Not that I can think of offhand. Look, even now, I think it's a general conversation for people to say that food and housing is expensive here. And I see it a lot on discussions as well, people worrying, are they going to make it here? It is expensive, without a doubt, especially if you're going to be in Auckland, for example. I can't really talk about like Wellington or anywhere else. But I obviously deal with the new arrivals coming into Auckland, and a lot head off to Hamilton. And plenty of people ask me, like, what is my food budget? So we're a family of 6, for example, and our food budget's about $400 a week. So I could probably say a family of 4, fair enough, they could do $250, $300. So yeah, look, like I say, it's expensive, but you also earn accordingly. So you budget and you make do. And there's just so much beauty around, and I mean, you can't put a price to safety. Happiness, I've spoken to some people that saying they are struggling to adjust. That's completely normal, but you need to put yourself out there. You need to go and meet people. Lots of people join churches, do like, volunteer somewhere at the SPCA, just put yourself out there, meet people, and don't stay indoors and just, feel like, oh my gosh, we're really missing home, which is normal. I think especially for a mom who stays at home with the children in the beginning, that seems to be very normal. You go into a bit of a downer, and it's very easy to do that, especially when it's cold here as well. And I see someone put a question on now, is it difficult to find a rental that accepts pets? That is a definite yes. We've got a cat, and oh my gosh, if we even talk about the cat, it's just, if the property rental says no cats, they just don't want cats. I even try to convince our people when we moved in here, could we maybe get a kitten if they see we look after the house for 6 months. So that's just a cat. I've heard of people really struggling with dogs, of course. So it is difficult, but it is possible. I was helping a friend look for housing in Auckland the other day, and about, I'd say 80-90% all said no pets, or a cat would be considered. So it is difficult. You're probably going to spend a longer time house hunting than what somebody with no pets would.
Thank you, Yvonne. It's been a pleasure to get your review, and I'm sure a lot of people have gotten their fill of practical things that they can do. And one thing that I think I will use for other people is you almost can't come too prepared, can you? You can get all these different things, references and documents from your doctor, anything that you think is important, collect data for it, because if you've got nothing to show, it's sort of hard for them to decide, isn't it? They have to have a justification. I mean, the doctor needs a justification. Even if he likes you, he needs a justification. The person who's trying to get you into a place, they need sort of something to show their boss, like, look, I've done this, I've checked this, so help them, right? Would you say that's fair?
Yes, completely. That really is what they want. I mean, they don't know. We have no credit history when we arrive here. They've got nothing to look back on. It's all really what we say. So we have to sort of justify ourselves in some way that we are really, who and what we say, and we are going to do what we say. So definitely bring as much supporting documentation for everything that you can.
Yvonne, Tetra wheels, is that right? Tetra, T-E-T-R-A?
Yep.
And you do the rental. So if I want a car, if a family member wants a car, they go to you and they rent, or they can buy.
Yeah, so I started off doing the car hire, and then there was such a great need for families in South Africa that needed somebody to look for cars for them, and sort of line it up so when they land, they actually don't need to rent for so long anymore. They can actually buy. So I now offer the service of, if you land, we pick you up and we take you straight to the car that you want to buy, and I can do the financing as well. Okay,
it's a one-stop shop. Go and talk to Yvonne about that. Thank you, Yvonne. I didn't know that before. Fantastic information, and fantastic information for sharing as well. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure I speak for everyone, but I can't find out, because if I unmute everyone, it's not going to make any sense. So
it'll be quite chaotic.
Good to see you. Thank you for stopping.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
Bye-bye. All right. So that was Yvonne, and I hope you've been satisfied with that sort of information. Again, you asked for it, and we've got it for you. And we wouldn't have had it for you if Yvonne wasn't here. Well, I would have kept looking, of course, but I doubt if I would be so lucky to find that amount of content that's relevant with someone who's freshly here from South Africa. We've got all those tick boxes right there with Yvonne, and she came and she delivered with the fresh information, the information that you probably wanted to know and was missing. And I got some too that I can use. I mean, support yourself with information around everything. I'm already doing the references, right? And portfolio as well for the work. And now she's gone to the other side on other practical things. So that's one thing you can do, is a folder for all the stuff that you need to prove all the stuff that you want to do when you get here, including the rent, the medicines, and the jobs. Yeah, what else? There'll be other things. You can figure it out. I've got another guest. I'm so lucky today. I've got another guest carrying us through with fantastic content. I'm just going to unmute Hannelie and see if this is really her, because I'm not sure yet. I shouldn't speak too early. Hannelie, is that you? Uh-oh, no one's there. All right. I think she may be just away. Hannelie and Johan are near, if not here. And so the thing with all right, we've got practical and we've got necessary. What's practical to prepare for is all these things with documents. What's necessary is residency, anything that's residency related. Often being very practical will also help you to get the residency, but sometimes not. Sometimes it's the additional stuff that you concern yourself with, the grocery store, the rental. Well, you don't really need to get overly concerned with the school and the rental and stuff until you really nail this residency thing. And the only way to do that is to get the job. And the only way to do that is to prepare for the job. So, yeah, I guess, here we go. This is probably Hannelie. Right. Hannelie, how are you doing? Hannelie, did you just have a check on the bottom left? There's probably a mute button or an unmute button on the microphone. I think that might be the thing. Yeah, oh, there you muted it. Okay, so yeah, unmute. You had it unmuted, okay. Let's try this. So I'm not hearing anything from Hannelie, but I'll continue on with my little dialogue because this is so cool. All right. We had a case where Hannelie and Johan have been looking for a while from South Africa, right? So they're preparing their way to come into New Zealand. And a little introduction to Hannelie and Johan. I'll just give you this introduction first. So Johan is a top cop in South Africa. I mean, he has got special unit capabilities in rescue, riot control, deep water type stuff, scuba diving, bomb threats, first aid, and he's been on international humanitarian missions as well. So this guy is the guy you call when the stuff hits the fan, basically. So yeah, he's a top cop, and he's also very young, and he's also very engaging and relaxed. So he's good with clients. He's also good with problems, I'm imagining. And he's just got this great professional profile for the security services. So we've actually targeted that issue before he came, and he's got a great story. I won't ruin it. And Johan is with his better half. Her name is Hannelie, and she worked as an administrator in a police office. And she coordinated things in the back office, as you do with the documents, with the verifications, with people coming in, with dealing with day-to-day issues, knowing what everyone in the office is doing and whether they're there and who to pass the phone to and all that sort of stuff. The problem always gets facilitated by someone, and that someone was Hannelie. And Hannelie was, I believe, in the same office as Johan as well. So that's quite cool that they got involved with each other's day at work together. But they made the big move and they came over to New Zealand, and it wasn't always straightforward. Hannelie, are you here with us yet? I'm going to try to wake them up. Well, I hope that's her. Let's see, I can't unmute myself. All right, okay. Okay, get out and go close completely out and then come back. And another thing you could do also, if you want to try this, go to the bottom and select the microphone that there's probably a couple of drop downs for the microphone. Select the one that you're not on. Try a couple of different microphones. Yeah, that's one way to do it. I'm going to probably go to another story that's related to this one in a way. Well, they're all related, aren't they? People want to find work, they run into trouble, and then they accomplish things, and then they learn things, and then if we're lucky, we find the work after the fact. I got a call this week, first time ever, from someone who sent out 400 CVs to job adverts and didn't get a reply. And once again, you know, the expectation that I feel the other side, I'm reading the mind, I'm trying to interpret, well, why are they telling me this? They want me to be surprised, right? But I'm not surprised. I just know if someone says I've tried 20, okay, anything for 20 up, and I've got no response, I know the reason why. If it's more than 20 CVs you're sending out and engagements you're having with employers, and you've got no response back that's personalized to you, I know you're not doing my system. Even 5. I mean, within 5, we're getting 2, 3 personalized feedbacks. We're getting half or better. That's just our statistics. So I taught those the method. Oh, I see, Hannelie, you're here, but your microphone went back on mute. That's really crazy. I have seen that one other time. What was the fix on that? What was the fix? We're using the same system as we used before, if that helps. Yeah, but I saw it with my own eyes. You popped in and then it went on. Yeah, that's a bit frustrating. I might have to just read from your text, and I'll just pretend that I'm speaking in your voice. I'll read your text. Oh, everyone can read your text. You can just send your text to us. But no, that's no fun. It would be really nice to have you online. I wonder how that could work. And you can try have you tried the bottom left? Are you on a desktop? I don't know where it would be if you're on a phone, but there's this microphone selection thing, and that may help. So the thing is with this the job market doesn't work. All you guys know that if you've been watching this, and going around it is so important. And going around it means basically getting to the end decision maker. It has to happen. There's different methods that it can happen. I mean, you can lean on social media more than other people. You can lean on door knocking more than other people. You can lean on preparing those calls first, but more than other people. I've also got something called a video CV, where we just compact your professional history into 20 minutes into, you know, a format of a job interview where I'm interviewing you. We basically do the preparation, then we do the interview, and that's recorded like this is recorded, you know, as we're doing a dialogue, and then we get that into the video CV, and then employers can casually just scan through it and get a sense for who you are. And I'm sure that that has helped a lot of people, because sometimes I hear employers and people say that it was because of that they got the job offer, even from South Africa. I mean, no one's going to hire from New Zealand to South Africa if they don't have a solid sense for who you are. And that can't happen by a CV with bullet points. It can happen with a Skype call, but usually the Skype call is made because they already have a flavor that we're in the zone, right? They want to meet you. But I got a couple of calls from Johan and Hannelie when they first came here. And the first call was quite different than the second call, and they were both just a day apart, I think, maybe two. I think it was a day apart. And I really wanted to have them here. I might spoil the story and go ahead and tell it, but actually, no, I think I'd just go ahead and wait for Johan and Hannelie to show up. I might have to just end the show without even saying what the story is. It's such a good story. Johan, if you meet him, he's like Tom Cruise. I mean, he looks like Tom Cruise's stunt double, right? He probably does more stunts than Tom Cruise's stunt double. So as an interviewee, he's quite, you know, he must have been a star, because he got really good traction once he got here and started meeting with employers. And yeah, I'll let him tell the story. Actually, I don't know the full story. I just know the beginning of when things turned around for them. And you know, it can be quite daunting. Come here and you think, okay, I've landed here, right? Now I visited an employer, and then, oh no, I've got a rejection of the first employer. What's going to happen? Panic, right? I feel panic. What's going on? Is this the end? Is this how it's going to go? Like, no, that's not how it's going to go. It's a statistics game in a sense. There's always little things that happen. The thing is, we're not playing a 90%er. We're playing a 50%er. We're getting solid feedback on 50%, and then we're going another 50%. We're getting, close to job offers on the second level 50. So it's like 25%. We're getting close to job offers. And a lot of it depends on the profile. A lot of it depends on your motivation. Believe me, employers are reading you. They're reading you like a book. They're reading you like a headline. They're trying to read you for the quality of work that you give out, the competence that you have in your work, and the nervousness is fine. It doesn't matter. They're trying to look through the nervousness. They're trying to figure out, is this person going to be of value to me in my company? Is this person worth my risk to hire? What are the things I need to do to mitigate my risk? I need to figure out this. Are they committed to my company? Are they competent in the role that I've got? Are they the kind of person who's going to get on well with my team? This is all very centered on the role and the employer's position in hiring you. Because if the employer makes the decision, yes, I'm going to hire you, and it doesn't work out, it's very painful if it doesn't work out. So there's a number of things to be just empathetic about with the employer. They're not just going to, I'll just unmute Hannelie. Oh, miracle. Hannelie. You're there. Fantastic. Hannelie, okay, great. Okay, time to just I've got to unpin me now. We're going to have a look at both of us. Oh, here we go. Oh, that's not fair. Let's try a different one. How's that? Oh, that's just me. What's going on here? Oh, that'll have to do for now. How are you guys doing?
Good, and you?
Fine, thanks, and yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Yeah, nice to have you here. So what was the secret to getting in?
We just closed everything and then went back in, and then it worked.
Yeah, great. Okay, well, I'll take this off and we'll just have a chat. So we've got a great story. Let's get right into it. How do you want to start this, Hannelie, Johan? Did you hear my introduction or not really?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, we heard a bit of it, yeah.
Okay, Tom Cruise, was I right, guys? Come on, look at that. Yeah, all right. You guys are a great couple, Hollywood couple here in New Zealand. And you, was I right, Hannelie, to say you worked in the same office as Johan?
Yes.
For a time, yeah.
Yeah, for maybe 2 years. Yeah.
All right, nice. How was it? I mean, I've got a lot of questions. I'm sure everyone else does too. I'm going to be checking the chats. You guys ask questions because if you don't ask, they're not going to get asked other than what I ask. So your first impressions, how it got started. Let's talk about your first phone call to me because I told everyone that I had 2 phone calls. Let's go through that. You made a first phone call and then there was a second phone call and they were like night and day. So let's go through that.
Yeah, well, when we came over, I basically had only one proper interview lined up with this company, and so when I went there, everything seemed to go well. They said, okay, we'll talk to you, we'll phone you back later. But when they phoned back, they just told me that they can't employ me because I don't have a work visa. And then, I thought that was my big chance. That was the best chance I had of getting a job offer. Gone. And where do I go from there? So I was pretty depressed.
Yeah. So you called me up, and what did we talk about? Do you remember?
Just that, today you get one rejection, and tomorrow you go on, and maybe, you'll get 2 offers, or you'll get more offers, and then end of the day it will be a success. So
right. After you hung up, how did things progress from that point? The same day or next day, whenever it was?
Well, it was just, listen, okay, this did not work out, so what's plan B? Where are you going from here? And then I looked at a few companies in the Wellington area, And they said, okay, this is the guys I'm going to see tomorrow. And then the next day, the very first people I went to see, then everything changed. So I just basically went to the office and said, look, I'm here. This is my CV. Do you have something for me? And yeah, they were pretty accommodating and looked, and they were impressed.
Very bold. Very good. All right. And they were impressed. And then, so where are you sitting now? Do you want to fast forward to where you are now?
We are with Hannelie's brother. We are living with them in Hamilton for another few weeks for the visa application. And then we're going to find a place in Wellington, and then we're going to move there.
Okay. So you got a place in Wellington. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Was the place you got in Wellington also from a door knock campaign?
No, it was over the internet. So
okay.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So you had to turn down at least one other company so far.
Yes, we went to see two companies on that day, and both gave us positive feedback. But obviously, the one offer was amazing. It was way more than I ever expected, and the other one basically more than what I expected. So it wasn't a difficult decision.
Very nice. Congratulations. Well done. A lot of hard work put together, a lot of anticipation, stress, whatever you want to call it. Here you are. Your life starts over. Has it sunk in yet? Do you believe it? It's only been a few days.
Not yet. Still getting used to New Zealand, to the weather and the people. So it's, if I can say, the stress of it, it kind of spoils the whole experience, because you're always stressing about this and that, and now you got this amazing job offer. You're still worried, okay, I need to get the work visa. Once I have it in my hand, then I'll relax. So yeah.
All right. And the work visa is going to take 4 or 5 or 6 weeks or so. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
That. Okay. That's what the average is. Your life in South Africa was intense. Is that fair to say?
Fairly, yeah. Fairly.
All right. You'd be called out when there's trouble, and you're basically told, your responsibilities are to manage the frontline issues.
Yeah, they basically where normal policing can't handle it anymore, then it was where we were called in different situations. So either it be tactical or crowd management or diving. Yeah.
So now the new place is there. What were they most impressed by, or what do you think sold them on the fact that they need to have you?
I think it was my work experience, the fact that I was 17 years in the police. The fact that all of the things I've done shows commitment, shows somebody that doesn't do something and then doesn't complete it. That's what they were looking for. They were looking for somebody that can lead their team, basically, and has the knowledge and the experience.
There's no one in New Zealand. Well, you could probably count. You can probably count on 1 or 2 hands the number of people in New Zealand that have your experience in it. It would be from abroad anyway, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, they basically explained to me that I won't be dealing with the same situations in New Zealand. It will be a lot late. So I said, no, I understand. I have to change my mindset kind of a bit, because
All right. Do you want to review those special skills that you studied, all these different special unit skills, or do you want to jump to something else?
We can jump to something else. I don't want to brag.
All right. You're a humble guy, but you do, let's put it like this, pages. And that's just listing. All right. So which city did you come from in South Africa?
I'm from Nelstroom. It's a small town just outside of Pretoria.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And your trip here is permanent now? You've got the young family there with you all together?
Yeah, I took the a big leap of faith and resigned and told everything and brought my whole family over before I had the assurance of a job offer. So
Okay.
we are now here, and
that's like your work attitude too, isn't it? It's just going to happen.
yeah, you have to make it happen. If it doesn't happen, you have to make it happen.
Yeah, well, good on you. I'm impressed. I'm also honored that you had the chance to prepare and get through. I had a front row seat. Now you had you had a good seat as well. To top it all off, after this great news, you went and saw the game in Wellington. Tell us about that.
I did not actually see the game in Wellington. I went. We came back the Friday, but I did go to a New Zealand pub to watch the game, which was completely a new experience for me, because it's the first time where there's about 50 people and only 2 or 3 are shouting for the Springboks. Outnumbered.
That was you too.
Yeah, so usually I'm really animated and I'm shouting loud, and this time it's just like we're whispering or just hiding.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't matter, but you never know. So what was the experience like being in a pub that's showing some sports? New Zealand versus South Africa, what is the difference?
Oh, everything. The people, they're a lot, can I say, louder.
They're louder here.
Yeah, they are louder, and they know who you are shouting for, and they won't come to you and say, no, good luck to the Boks or whatever. They're pretty intense when it comes to the rugby. So that's one of the reasons why I wasn't shouting that loud, because when things don't go your way, it's you can see they're getting really angry.
It was an amazing game. I saw the highlights.
Yeah, no, it was.
All right. Other impressions that you both have noticed and talked about just between yourselves, different things that you first feel, because you're very fresh. You're less than a week. Oh, you're about a week now. Is that right? Yeah.
We were lucky. We had a kind of almost cross-island road trip from Hamilton to Wellington. And I don't know, I guess lucky, our GPS took us on the small roads, the by roads, didn't keep us on a highway. So we saw a lot of the countryside of New Zealand, and it's amazing place. It really is amazing. It's completely different from what I'm used to. I mean, there's no dust. The air is clean. No, you can't even compare it for what I've seen so far.
In Wellington, you won't even need a car. You can just, it depends obviously where you work, and maybe, I don't know, but many people put it this way, don't need a car in Wellington. It's so compact.
Yeah. The streets are small. You can see a lot of people, they park in a specific area and then they walk or take the train or stuff like that. And then the traffic, I mean, you take it, it's the capital of New Zealand, and the traffic is not that bad. There's not a lot of cars there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So overall, you're still a little bit on the high side. The stress is still there because there are still deadlines and question marks. Well, not really question marks, just time delays, I would hope, because the documentation should be nailed as far as it's submitted, and it's submitted correctly. You've got good people working on it.
Yeah, no, I know. You just have to wait for it to come, but you still have that kind of niggling feeling that something can maybe go wrong, or something. You don't have it in your hands. It's not set in stone. So
I remember for me, it was the first thing was getting that permit to work, the visa, the work visa. And then the second one, of course, was the actual residency, permanent residency. Then you're home free. There's nothing that happens. And we went ahead and got the citizenship as well. We just decided, we're going to do that. It's not really necessary, but we did. Just that feeling of solid. Yeah. Well, great. Any advice you have for people coming over here who are watching this in South Africa? Are there any police units that you would advise are in really good position to come over here right now based on some things you found out? Or is it is it too personal at the moment? You haven't really got a sense of what the demand is. It's more like you're needed.
Yeah, I haven't really focused on anything except for getting the job offer, and then just so I haven't really looked around. But if I can give advice to people, is don't listen to anybody in South Africa that's telling you this thing, they don't look at it, this thing will never work for you, don't do this. Do your own research, go to people that knows, knowledgeable people that's maybe in New Zealand, but not just any, don't listen to, because they told me that my police qualifications won't mean anything in New Zealand. It's like I don't even have to take it or use it. And it turned out to be the thing that got me the fantastic offer. So don't give up, just go. If you want a job, if you want to go to New Zealand, if you want to get a job, you can do it. You can go there and you can make it happen.
Last words, Johan. I think that's it. Thank you very much for joining. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing. I know you didn't have to do that. You have other things to do, but believe me, people do appreciate it. And, you're passing it forward, that's part of it.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Tate.
All right, everyone,
Okay.
Let's just say a goodbye to Johan, and also I'll say goodbye to you all as well. It's a pleasure to do these webinars, and thank you for bringing up these ideas so that we can actually make our community come alive. It's a beautiful community, and we're bringing, tell you what, you weren't appreciated in South Africa, were you, Johan? That's the craziest thing.
No, in South Africa, the things you do there, you expect, and people just worry about themselves. They don't care. They don't care that if you lose somebody with incredible skill, they don't care if you lose a service or you lose something. It's just they go on, they worry about themselves, what is their next promotion or their next thing. So yeah, they don't care.
It sounds a little bit dog eat dog to me.
Yeah, it's basically that.
Yeah.
It's exactly that.
You're coming into a more of a community environment where things do matter, families matter, communities matter, and lifestyle, work-life balance matters. So you're gonna really be blown away by some of these differences, and I think pleasantly so. What's interesting with human beings, I mean, myself included, we adjust to those easy things quite easy, and we get used to them right away, like the weather and the peace, around, and maybe low cost or something, not here, but in other places. But then when something is hard to adjust to, like weather or aggression and things, we don't adjust well. We always remember it. We'll never adjust back to that. So coming from there to here is the easiest way to go. I know it's not everything easy, but if you take the big picture, it should be quite smooth overall. And I think that moment that we talked about with Yvonne before you came on, there'll be a moment in your lives, maybe you've already felt it, where there's this lift of pressure, like, I don't have the stress that I used to have. I know it happened to me because I lived in a big city. Moscow's a huge city, 15 million. I had stress there. And plus, it's a bit of an aggressive society, probably not like yours. But still, there's this over-the-shoulder thing. I mean, you have to have it. 360 view, you have to have it. And you had it. I know you had it, being front line. Come on, it's basically military. That's what it's all about. Yeah. So you're going to have this feeling of lifting, I think, both of you, that we're in a peace zone. We don't have to lock up our house even that much, It's not such a...
One of the big things that I did see in New Zealand is driving. The driving is so easy. I don't even get angry anymore. In South Africa, I can just drive about 5 kilometers and I just want to punch somebody, or so yeah. Driving stress there's no stress here for driving. So it's
a courteous driving culture too, isn't it? They let you in and things like that.
Yeah, it is.
Well, we're here not only to sing praises, but also give good advice. And you've done both. And keep in touch. When you're in Nelson, beautiful Nelson, that's what's waiting for you. We ought to put you out in that direction. It's right around the corner.
No,
about 1 hour away.
I see it.
Yeah. All right. you'll see lots of things. You'll have time too to see it.
Yeah.
Good on you. Hannelie and Johan, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Any
Tate.
last words? I'll let you sign off with the last word.
Just,
Don't lose faith.
yeah. Just keep the faith.
Yeah.
Okay. Take care. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye bye, Tate.